Hello there. My name is Firedust. This is going to be my first video for YouTube. I'm obviously creative. I'm going to hopefully be doing a intro guide thing on how to make how to build and how to decorate floating islands. Just as floating islands. So the design I'm going to be doing today is very heavily based off of the construction handbook, which was this handbook that I guess Mojang released or something. That was for just an older version of Minecraft. Anyway, yeah. So my design's similar to the design that is found in that handbook. I've found that in any floating island, really, you're going to want to start with a circle. Just to start off with, small circle you can make is just the one block. It's not really a circle, but it's close enough that I'm going to count it. Next size up is the 2x2. Again, kind of hard to consider a circle. Then you go 3x3, 4x4, on and on. So when you first make a circle, it's going to look a little bit like a square. Easy way to do it is just a little too off the ground there. Sorry. Make a square and then cut out the corners. So like this, for example, is a 4x4. If you take out that corners, it already looks a little more circular than just that base square. I probably should have done this on a super flat world, but whatever. You can get past that if you just, right off the bat, make your square without those corners. Now, this works really well for the smaller circles, but you can't really do that with bigger circles. Like if I were to make like a 5x5 or whatever, 7x7. It looks just like a curved square. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't look like a circle anymore as much. So at this point, you're going to want to start adding a second layer to your circle. So again, this is a 7x7 because there's 5 blocks here and then the 2 on the edges. So if you knock these 3 out and put move them back 1, it's going to look a little more like a circle. So I always make the mistake when I try and make like a smaller circle. I try and think to myself like, all right, you want it to be as curvy as possible, so just make all the blocks on the diagonal, and then that'll look like a circle. But really, this just looks like a square that you've rotated 90 degrees. Like that's just a square. Now, for circles that are larger than this 7x7 sort of thing I have here, you need to start throwing in these little walls. You need to start making them 2 long instead of just 1. So like this here, if you start putting the 2 over there, and then you put in a 1, it makes the circle bigger without getting into that diagonal effect that you get over there. So the way I remember how to make these is you have to make sure that when you put these first 2 on, they're in the same line as this. If that makes sense, they're all going along this line here. Because if you don't do that, here, let me finish this circle up. So that looks like a circle, but if I go over here and I break these 3, and I do this, it looks almost that's more like a clover shape than a circle, which can be cool if that's what you're looking for, but we're going for circles here, so not what we're looking for. So essentially, if you want to make your circles bigger and bigger and bigger, you just keep doing this pattern. Eventually, you're going to want to switch from 2s to 3s. So to make a floating island, the easiest way to do it is to find one of these already island sort of things, already floating islands, and then build from there. But if you can't, you can also just pillar up. So if you've made a floating island before, don't want to make these circles or whatever, skip to the end of this video. I'm going to make some tips and stuff on how to decorate the islands and make them less just like straight, boring, floating circles. But, alright. Again, so I'm going to be making that larger size circle that I made over here. I'm gonna try and put that up in the air. Once you've got this base circle down, actually it's easier to look at from the bottom because you get the contrast against the sky. Once you've got this base circle down, the next thing to do is make a circular bottom on it. So I like to go in about 1 block from the edge and just make sure that you don't get too close to the edge, and you just make another circle. I'm making this out of stone, but I guess if you want to make your islands really big, you might want to add a second layer of dirt to the bottom. That will yeah, just make the islands a little more natural looking if they're larger. So once you've done this, you're going to want to, you can either leave the inside hollow, which I'm probably going to do, or you can fill the, and like you can build like a basement to anything you build on the top there, or you can fill it, like fill it all the way up. Just for time's sake, I'm going to leave this hollow. Now, you're going to, so I'm going to make the bottom of this fairly spiky. It's going to be more like pointed. So if you don't like that look, so the way I'm going to be doing that is by putting 2 or 3 blocks for every circle of stone that I make. If you don't like that look, only put like 1, put 2, and then it will round off a lot quicker, and it will look more like a dome sort of shape. But yeah, for this like first layer, I'm going to do 3, and then I'll probably do 2 on the next one or something. I don't really know. Alright, so then for this next layer, the one where you go in, you just want to go around the outside of your bottom layer and just fill in all the blocks. As in, just make sure you don't leave any holes. So like if I left one there, that would look a little weird. So now I'm running into a problem here because this bottom that I've made is pretty much a square. So I'm going to, I guess it's not too square because I put those other blocks in there, those corner pieces. So that just happens because of the size of circle I originally started with. If you don't want that happening, use a larger, smaller circle, or don't include that first outer block if you don't want to. So I'm going to be putting 3 on this next layer here. 3 layers. That doesn't make sense. 3 layers for 1 layer. I'm going to be putting, for this next circle of stone, I'm going to be putting 3 individual layers of stone. So, again, I'm just varying between 2, 3, and I might put in like individual, like single layers of stone if I want to on other ones, and that just makes it look pointy at the bottom there. So I don't really like how square this is, so I'm going to do that, which just, again, it adds to the roundness. It makes it a little less, like it makes the bottom more circular, and it gives you sort of like this half layer. You can then, if you like have this problem, you can go around and put like blocks like that on, so that it just comes down nicely. I'm not going to do that. Alright, but I am getting close to the bottom here, so I am going to just make sure that I don't want to cut it off too quickly, because if you just like leave it flat like that, I guess it looks okay, but it doesn't look as good as it could. You just want to make sure you at least put something down here. So again, those last two were just single layers. If I wanted to, I could make those 2 layers or something. I'm gonna try putting that block there. So that's a basic floating island. Again, if you want to, you can make this 2 blocks thick up there, and that'll, once that grass goes away, that'll look a little better. You can do this for pretty much any size circle. Here, I'll just bridge off the edge here. I guess we're starting over here. So that was a fairly large circle. If you don't want it to be that big, you can make it much smaller. So I am not here. That's not really the best way to. So this is a fairly small circle. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 by 6, just about. It will. Again, you're just going to end up with a smaller bottom bit. I'm gonna make the bottom for this one. So again, I am making sure I'm not getting too close to the edge here. This block right there is right next to over here. So I'm gonna start over there. Actually, now that I say that, this would have a very small bottom layer. So I might actually go in or go out to these 2 edges here, because it just looks a little better. It looks like there's a little more holding it up. And that might be why this is so weird. If you want to, you can, yeah, actually I think I might do that. Just go in and throw a couple of these on here. And you can break this up by using slabs. If you just, that's not the slabs. You can do something like that if you want to. That looks pretty nice. Just to hold the dirt up, make it look a little, I was going to say natural, but Minecraft doesn't usually spawn in, I don't think it ever spawns in the slabs naturally. So this one, because it's smaller, I'm just going to round the bottom off sooner. It just gives it a little different look. Kind of weird that, oh, I guess this is swamp biome, that's plains biome, so these pieces of grass are a little darker. So if you made a circle and you don't like the size, you can always go and replace 1 block this way for everyone. That gives you sort of an ovaloid shape, and then you put another block on this axis for every block. You just have to make sure that you only put the blocks that you add on. You don't accidentally double stack. Here, I'll show you with a different colored block. So you would start by doing this, and then you would go over and do this. You just want to make sure you don't accidentally, on that second layer, throw one here, because that's still a circle shape. Actually, I kind of like that. Looks sort of like a moon or something. But yeah, once you do that, you can then just go down to the bottom here and fill out this circle to get the rest of it. And you can throw stairs or whatever you want on here to make the sloping a little more natural. So I'm just using this circle of dirt for this island. So if I were to grab a stair, yeah, there's the stone stairs. I can't hit E when I'm typing. If you throw them here, again, it just adds to that that look, the sloping look, makes it look a little bit, I just said look way too many times, it makes your, that's upside down, it makes your islands appear a little more, yeah, natural, even though, like natural and not Minecraft natural. Just, yeah. So that is a very rounded bottom, whereas that's much more pointy. But yeah, that's how you do it. There's not much more to it than that. So for decoration, one thing to do is to vary the blocks. So if you like throw in some diorite, some granite, or some andesite, you can just like, if I were to go over this one, just throw some of that in there. Actually, why would I use diorite? Just make sure when you're doing that, you put, like, you sort of clump the rocks, the stones together, because if you just have like, you know, it's like, so that sort of looks like a vein. If you just like, throw one granite, one diorite, one andesite all next to each other, it doesn't look as good. Like, it's just a different sort of shape. So you can do that with ores. You can do that with yeah, really, ores and stones are the two things you can do that. I guess you could do it with like sand or gravel or something. But before you do that, you're going to want to have something to hold it up. And now there is something I do want to test. If I grab a button, sorry, I should have tested this beforehand, and some gravel. So I know if you put a torch on, alright, yeah, so gravel will stay floating above a button, but like as soon as I break that button, that gravel's gonna fall. So that means if you want to, like you can make an island using gravel. Like here, I'll just make a little one. A swamp island. So if I go and I put, the bottom piece is going to have to be stone, but if you put like button here, button here, button here, button there, when you stick gravel above those, it just that gravel will stay floating. So you can have like gravel deposits on your island if you want to, and then like you can make it go out like that. But then yeah, you might want to bring the stone back in. Really, it's up to you. Yeah, so that, like, now this island has a little gravel patch on it, and the reason why I was using the stone button is because it like sort of blends in. It's generally the same texture, or like color, not texture. If you used like a wooden button, it might stand out a little bit more and not look just as good. Can't move if there's an island in the way. So yeah, this is a very fast, very quickly thrown together island. But yeah, that shows you how easy they are to make. I don't really, yeah. So it's not really a circle shape, but yeah. Also, to make islands more natural looking, you can make them non-circular. So I am not very good at making non-symmetrical shapes because I just don't like line them up correctly. But you can just throw together a general like circle ovaloid sort of shape, and then you can make an island out of that. So like this looks a little square, so I might take off some of these corners. And then that looks, yeah, that looks generally islandy. Pretend that didn't happen. So that, yeah, that's just more of a naturally shaped, assuming I finished it, that would be more of a naturally shaped island than one of these. Another fun thing to do is if you make an island, I'm going to make a little one down here. If you make one really close to the ground, you can dig a little hole into the ground so it looks like the island like flew up out of the ground. I said ground way too many times there again. But like this shape, you could then, you're probably going to want to build the island first, and then dig the hole to fit the island. But like with an island of that shape, you could dig a hole in the ground, or make your island first or whatever, and then match the island to the hole. I think I did 1, 2, 3, and then just it fits together. It looks like the island has like come up out of the ground and gone over there. No, this one's not very good of an island. It's yeah, and that's why this would be a spot where you might put in multiple layers of dirt. It might not look as nice. Let's see. Dirt. Still can't do that. But if you want to get that in, you can just save that continuity, and then if there's an ore deposit that you dug down to or something, it just makes it look pretty cool. Another thing you could do is make like a rope or something, so it looks like the island is attaching to the, still like it's trying to fly away, but it's still attached to the ground. So something to use that might be fences. I think those sort of look ropey. I don't actually know. Or if it's close enough to the ground, you can use a lead and really any animal. I'll just use a cow, I guess. So like for this one, it's a little too far away from the ground to. Here, I'll show you the lead trick first. If you have an island quite close to the ground, you can attach like a fence post up here, dig a little hole in the ground. It's going to need to be 3 blocks deep. Put like a cow or something in there, attach the lead to the cow, and then to the fence. Alright? And if the fence isn't too high in the air, the cow won't fly. Okay, let's try this again. Don't, no, stay. Alright, here, we'll just pretend we have a little, and anyway, it looks like your island is being held down by this little lead here, like this rope. But obviously, you can only do that for very, very small, or very low to the ground islands. So like for a bigger island like this, that one up there, you could just like take your fences, and this might look a little weird because it's such a small island, but make a rope sort of thing going to the ground out of fences. And that looks decent. Not as good as like the actual rope, but then again, that one's kind of hard to see and hard to do and kind of mean to the animal. So, oops. All right. We're just gonna ignore that. Just it didn't happen. We're fine. And then if you are like much smarter than I am, and you know how flying machines work, you could potentially hook up a small island or like a bigger island to flying machines. For a bigger island, you'd obviously need like multiple flying machines to push the whole thing. But yeah, that's just another idea. And now I'm going to try and make the very smallest island I can, because I told you that 1 block counts as a circle, but I'm going to assume there are a bunch of you that don't believe me. So I think I'll probably use andesite for this because it's closest to stone. But if you stick a wall there, that's like a decent floating like mini island. Another thing you might be able to use is a skull. But again, you're going to want to if you do this with a skull, you're going to want to make sure like the the face of the skull is in point. Alright, never mind, you can't do this with the skull, because it just floats below it. But I guess you could make an upside down floating island. So if your floating island flipped over, it might look like that. Or maybe you just have a floating skeleton skull. We'll just ignore that. Don't do that. But yeah, so really, to make the floating islands better, you're going to want to put a couple of them next to each other, and then if you use like bridges or whatever, you can link them together and make like a floating town sort of thing. That's always fun. But really, what every floating island needs is a castle. But I will not be making a castle today. Maybe for a later video. But real quick, I will go over how I would make a bridge. So yeah, when you're making multiple islands next to each other, you're going to want to put them at different heights. Just makes it look a little better. And then when you make the bridge, try first off varying the heights of the slabs. There might not be enough room here to do what I'm trying to do. That always gets me. But if you make, well, first off, make your bridge in such a way that the two islands properly connect. And you don't end up with the weird little offshoots like that. But you can make a bridge sort of like this. You could even, if you want to, here. Nope, that doesn't work. Make it sag in the middle a little bit. These two are a little close together for that to work. So if you put like that, it looks like the bridge goes down first and then goes back up. It makes it look like it actually obeys gravity, which is pretty nice. Or if you want to make the bridge, and again for these fence posts, you want to have them in such a way that the person can't like walk here and then jump and fall. So you sometimes need two fence posts next to like a slab like that. So really, you're just going to want to put two fence posts next to all your slabs. It makes the bridge a little weirder looking, but it keeps people from falling off. Although if somebody's trying to jump over, it's kind of their fault if they fall off. But that's a different discussion. Here, those two are a little too far apart to show you the. But yeah, I guess this sort of demonstrates the sagging in the middle. But if you wanted to, you could make the bridge look a little rickety. Here, I'm going to try and do this at an angle, which I've never tried to do before. You can throw in like the gaps like that into your bridge, so it's still a full block and you jump, but it just sort of gets that feeling of like, oh, maybe I'm gonna fall here. Yeah, and again, I haven't actually made a bridge on a diagonal before, but you can see what I'm getting at. You then have it like come up again. It's a full block, so I want to this slab mechanic where it turns into a full block. That isn't a full block. All right, it's great, and then also at sometimes it's not great because I want to break the slab and then I break the whole block. I messed that up. But yeah, you get this jaggedy feel in there. It looks like you could just fall right through the crack. Now obviously, because of that, you can't just walk down, walk back up. You have to jump to get back up. But I'm sure this design doesn't look very good, but that was just thrown together quickly. But anyway, yeah. Next video, assuming I make a next video, I will be making a castle. Presumably you can put one on a floating island. When I do it, it never works because I make the floating island too small. But yeah, that is all for today. So thank you for watching. Yeah, put, I don't know, ideas for other things for me to make in the comment section. If you liked it, like it. If you really liked it, subscribe. I don't know. If you didn't like it at all, dislike it, and then subscribe so that all of my other videos, you can go on them and be like, man, this guy sucks. And then every time they come up, you're notified because you're subscribed. But yeah, see you next time.